and for all the efforts and all the, everything we done. And honestly, everything that could have been done was done to her, and it's done quick too. Kind of pride myself on that. And, but she still didn't make it. And I beat myself up over that one so much so that the communicators at the hospital told me, said, listen, you ran this same call a week ago, and so you done everything the same. They said, but sometimes they don't live, but that's still hard to get used to.
Yeah, that's awful. So she was alive when you arrived? And
Yeah.
Then yeah. Welcome to Creepalachia. Today we are getting into all sorts of branches of the emergency services with my man, Jonathan Cresong. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. We always start with a little backstory here. We're going to talk fire. We're going to talk EMS. You're currently, you work on an ambulance for STAT.
Yes.
And you mentioned Star Academy.
Yes.
Good deal.
And Upper Laurel Fire Department.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. So, how long have you, is it like a volunteer fire department?
Yes.
Yeah. How long have you done that?
I've been there since 91.
Okay. Nice. So you knew early, like you were going to get into this stuff?
No, not really.
Not really?
No, it's kind of a wild story in of itself.
Perfect. Okay, well, let's get into some backstory. And you're also a pastor, so
Yes.
we got all kinds of things to talk about. But tell me about you, where you grew up, and what your interests were as a kid. And
I grew up in Glen Fork, which is Wyoming County, and went to Glen Rogers High School, which is no longer around, sadly. But so small community and tight community. And so I was working at Twin Falls State Park and going through school, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a history teacher is actually what I wanted to do. And I took a lapse when my oldest son was born. And the wife said, you need to go take this EMT course. And I said, what's an EMT? And she said, they work on an ambulance. And I said, I could never do that. I can't stand the sight of blood. I could never do that.
Right.
And she said, well, give it a try. So I did, and I just got hooked. That's all I can say about that.
what's the initial training like? What do you got? You got to do so many weeks, or?
Yeah, it's usually like a 3 to 6 months program. If you go once a week, it's 100. I think it's still 100 hours. It was when I went 100 hours in class, and then you have clinical time where you have to ride on an ambulance and interact with patients, have so many contacts, and then you take a test. It's a national test. It's a pretty tough test, but then you can function.
Mm-hmm. So is it in Wyoming County around there?
I took my EMT course actually at Welch.
Oh, nice.
Took it down there at the trade school.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Shout out. I was born in Welch. So people know. Well, no, I wasn't born in Welch. I moved there in 5th grade. I was born in Ashland, Kentucky, but I mean, it feels like I was born in Welch.
There you go.
But yeah, well, cool. So you get your certification. Is there anything you remember in particular about the early days that stood out to you as like, hey, I think I may like this enough to do it another 30 years?
Well, actually, that was never the plan. I got my firefighter training actually first, and I got that through Twin Falls State Park. I was working there, and they put me through Fire Academy, which is weird, but because I was a desk clerk. And then went to the EMT and started doing it part-time, volunteer. I volunteered for 2 years. So I'd work a sawmill down in Roderfield in McDowell County.
Oh, yeah, man.
And I worked a sawmill, and then I'd come home on the weekends, get on an ambulance, work all weekend, and then go back to work on Monday in the sawmill. And so when the fire department was able to go full-time, they gave me a full-time job. And I've been in it since then. Told myself several times I was going to get out, but
still there.
I love it. I do. I love what I do.
They pulled you back in. What year did you work at the sawmill?
Worked at a sawmill. That would have been, 90? Would have been 1990? 91? I worked there.
Okay.
I worked there actually at the dry kiln at Gilco Lumber.
Okay,
Remember
yeah,
that down there?
yeah, man. I used to pass that sawmill every day. I had a buddy, shout out Josh Curry, that worked there, but it was early 2000s. You know, he was probably gone by then. But well, cool, man. So, did you work overnights early on? Or?
When I started working, I worked 5 24s a week.
5 24s
a week.
Let me do math here. How'd you sleep?
Well, that's the thing. When you ain't on a call, you can sleep. Now, back in them days, it was a lot busier than it is now. And it has changed a lot on that deal. Like now it's, I think it's totally legal to work that many hours, but I done it for a long time. Done that as an EMT. And then when I went through my paramedic, got my paramedic, I worked no less than 5 24s and an 8 for 15 years.
Nice. What's the difference between a paramedic and an EMT?
Okay, EMTs are basic training. They can do basic life support like splinting and stopping blood, and do they can do actually a lot more now than what they used to be able to do. But it's your basic care. And then on the ALS or paramedic side of things, you got you can do your life saving interventions like cardiac drugs and interpreting rhythms and treating cardiac arrest, and advanced airways where we can put a patient on a ventilator, sedation, paralytics, and then
trigonometry.
Yeah, you even got to step up from there because we got CCT now too. So
right,
there's a lot of that going
CCT,
on.
What's that?
That's critical care.
Okay.
So that's, and the same training for critical care paramedic, which I've been critical care for 14 years, I think. And it's the same training that's the flight medics have, and it's the same training that the CCT critical care at the hospital, the nurses have. Same class.
Okay. And how long is that?
That's only about it's only about 6 to 8 months, I think is what it was.
Okay. Very cool. So what's it like navigating these rural areas? I imagine, you could get a call and be like, oh, that's 47 minutes away, and then like,
oh, no, that's you hit the nail on the head, because it's just like I work Wyoming County.
Right.
That's where we start from. But I get dispatched to Mingo County, McDowell County, Monroe County, just anywhere in between. So like today I answered a 911 call in Welch, but I'm in Pineville. So, that's about an hour, the best you can do to most places. So patients having to wait on ambulances because there's such a shortage now as compared to what there was. Well, there never was a lot, but it's a lot harder now for these ambulance services to survive. We've seen so many close. It's hard to keep providers, the stress level and just the demands of the job and the hours and the physical needs of it and the mental aspect of it is just, it's really tough. It's hard. We have a lot of people that don't see 3 years. So we have a lot of rollover.
A lot of turnover.
A lot of it.
Yeah. That's a big question. Why are these places shutting down? I do know, typically an ambulance ride, depending on if you go like an hour away, I'm just going to take a guess, but you'll get a bill for $1,000, $2,000 depending on what they have to do. Does insurance cover it, or what's the main issue funding wise?
On that side of things, it's really weird that you say it, because most people think, well, that's a big money, but what it is Medicaid, Medicare, they set all the standards. And they tell the ambulance services what they can charge. They actually tell them what they have to charge on the minimum. And then you can go as high as you want to. But the thing that's wild about that is because you set your prices according to maybe just ballparking here. If you said a Band-Aid cost $1, they said you have to charge $1. You could charge $10 for that Band-Aid. The problem is that when they get that bill, they decide what they'll pay of it. So they may have told you have to charge $1, but they're only going to give you 10 cents.
Oh, wow.
So you charge $10 so that maybe they'll give you the $1.
Yeah.
And so it's really, we're at the mercy of Medicaid, Medicare sets the standards for everybody. And so, and they pay when they want to pay. And so we have big dry spells in ambulance service. That's when it gets really hard. It's hard to keep people, and it's hard to pay competitive wages because we're at that mercy.
Okay, that makes sense. So there's privately owned, and then there publicly funded services?
There are ambulance services that are funded by fire departments and counties, like Boone County's one. Actually worked there a real short stint, but they actually are even in the UMWA. They're covered by the.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they're in. So when you work there, you're in the UMWA, even though you're not a minor. But yeah, but they're totally county funded. So everything's a little bit better.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So, is there a competitor? or is it like, yeah, you get a call and then you push a button and it's like, all right, Jonathan's got that one.
That's good. Yeah. Well, see, that's why it's changed so much. When we started out of the fire department at Upper Laurel, and Jan Care was our major competitor. And when I say competitor, it's just different businesses. And we would do what we call jump calls. Like you'd hear a call come in, and if you're closer, and I can get that call, even though it was this other truck's call. But that's all changed. None of that works that way anymore. Now it's whoever's closest to the call is supposed to be sent to it. So then you got, just like in Wyoming County, we have STAT, we have Jan Care. And in Pineville, where I work, they rotate the calls. Like they give me one, then they give them one. Me one, then them one. And that's pretty much the way it is in Wyoming County. In McDowell County, I'm pretty sure they do the same thing. They work theirs the same way. They got Jan Care and STAT down there as well. In Mingo County, I'm pretty sure we just got STAT, and then you got one ambulance service out of Kentucky. But again, it's just kind of like whoever's closest.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Big thing, when you go through intersections, are you the type to just hammer back, son, and just, hope everybody sees you? Or are you is there a process of like kind of easing through, pushing the big loud horn?
I've been in 2 major ambulance wrecks.
Oh, okay.
And so, no, my whole view is totally different. But no,
right.
That's changed a lot too. It really has. Because now, used to think people would say, well, ambulances just run as fast as they want to and all this. Anymore, everywhere you work, where we work at STAT, we got the speed alerts. And if we go over 10 miles over the speed limit, somebody's going to have a talking to when you get back. So we have to obey. Yeah, it's not like... So, I mean, people wonder why it takes so long to get there now. And in addition to you got no ambulances, then we're going the speed limit.
Yeah. It's interesting because you went through this transition of this where people's on their phones and texting and driving and doing all this stuff. So I'm wondering if you saw a difference of people not really noticing where you were.
Absolutely. It's changed. Well, used to be, before we had cell phones and everything, people listened to the scanner. Well, we heard y'all coming. So it has changed absolutely, but just different technology.
Sure, yeah.
But everybody knows what's wrong with them now because of Google.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, we're cyborgs, brother.
That's it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we'll walk through your experience here first, and then we'll get into volunteer fire department because I'm curious about the processes there. But is there a certain call that comes to mind to you early on that you were like, whoa, this is really like, it's serious, but I imagine the first time you come up on a scene that is very traumatic for individuals involved, it would really, make an effect on somebody.
It has, it's one of those things where I think everybody copes different, and that's why some people don't last that long in EMS, is because we usually see it first and at its worst. And you're right. So there's so many calls. You deal with children. That's always hard. I had it was an 18-year-old girl, when she was 17, and she was in an accident. I think she was in an argument with a boyfriend, and he was driving a car behind her, and they were chasing. And anyway, she went off the road and went 30 foot over the hill, hit a tree. It threw her through the top of the an old sidekick, and she hit a barn face first. And I worked so hard, we had to get her up over the hill. And then I had to get an airway on her, which was really hard, and worked really hard on her. And for all the efforts and all the, everything we done. And honestly, everything that could have been done was done to her, and it's done quick too. Kind of pride myself on that. And, but she still didn't make it. And I beat myself up over that one so much so that the communicators at the hospital told me, said, listen, you ran this same call a week ago, and so you done everything the same. They said, but sometimes they don't live, but that's still hard to get used to.
Yeah, that's awful. So she was alive when you arrived, and then
yeah.
So, what's the process or the protocol when you pull up on a scene? Like, do you have certain boxes you have to check, or do you check certain things on the body to make sure?
Well, there's a process. And where I actually teach, there is a process. We teach that process, and we just pound it into students, pound it into yourself. You develop a way of doing things so that you don't miss anything. And It used to be, it was just one way of doing things like airway, breathing, circulation. Then you look for major bleeding or disability, but now it's changed for the different circumstances. But yeah, you always got to make sure you're safe first. That's always the first thing. And then you look and see what you need to do. And then you get to the patient and you take care of anything life-threatening first. Like if they have an arterial bleed, you want to take care of that first. Mm-hmm. And then if they're not breathing, you got to take care of that. So yeah, there's a checklist, mm-hmm. but to say you check boxes, not necessarily. You just get in a habit of doing. And then we got the check system where once I get a patient and we're going to a hospital, we call the hospital and they kind of just check and make sure that we've done everything too. So there's a safety net, if you will.
Okay. So correlation. So everyone kind of knows what was done before, like when you take a person to the hospital, they'll say, okay, or I imagine you'll be like, we done this, this, and this, and then they'll just take it from there.
Right.
Kind of how it works. Okay.
Yeah. And if it's really bad, like say it's a heart attack, they can get ready for that. Like they can get the cath lab ready now. Or if it's a stroke, they can get a stroke team ready.
Okay. So you let it radio in and let them know what's coming. Okay. Got it. Hey, I remember hearing ABCs. That's the airway, blood, breathing, circulation. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Man, that's awful. So after she passed away, like who technically informs the family? Is it the police or are you all kind of just?
Yeah, it depends on how it works. It's just like on that deal, HealthNet, who usually does not take a patient who's in cardiac arrest because they can't do CPR in a helicopter. So they normally won't take that. They did. And they flew her on to Raleigh General and she was pronounced there. And so the hospital informed the family.
Okay. Why can't you do CPR in a helicopter?
There's no room.
Oh, there's no room. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Hey.
Yeah. Once you get in a helicopter, you got the medic or the nurse is sitting at the head of the stretcher and all they got's the patient's head because the body's
so. I just assume it's like you have this and everybody's walking around getting peanuts and okay.
Once they get them on, they can maybe adjust some medications and IV rates and stuff like that. But
gotcha. And I'd say a lot of people are flown out of rural counties. Is that correct? Like, where's Wyoming County's helipad?
Well, there's different ones everywhere.
Okay.
And now that we got GPS, a helicopter can land pretty much anywhere if you can give them coordinates. So they land a lot on the Hatfield McCoy Trail.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they land on there. They've landed on the bridge in, Elmore Bridge in Mullins.
Mm-hmm.
Going over that way. Okay, they've landed there. They've landed on that little one-lane bridge in Stevenson. So if you can get them coordinates, they can pretty well land anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Otherwise, use football fields.
Yeah.
A lot of football fields.
Yeah. Well, that's handy. So is your usual, do you have a partner usually?
Oh, yeah. You always
have a partner?
Yeah.
Okay. So is one the driver and then the other's kind of the medical expert or?
The way it started out and the way it is ideally, you have a paramedic and you have an EMT working together. However, because we don't have the people and there's just not that many, paramedics. There's just not that many. And so we have drivers. Drivers are typically bandages, CPR. They have to have CPR certification. But it's like I work with a driver and I just about put that driver up against anybody in the world because he works with me and he can do pretty much anything I direct him to do, within limits, of course. But
burnouts?
Yeah,
or is that
no?
You don't do that.
No,
okay, gotcha.
No, he's a great driver, man. I can't do my stuff. He's doing that.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't know if you set up an obstacle course when
Wyoming,
things are slow.
Wyoming, McDowell County. You're doing IVs like this. So
okay, yeah, I got you.
Kind of hit with the potholes.
I got you. That's great. Okay. So I imagine there's like a bond you develop with your buddy and. How many years have you been with this particular person?
This one here, 4. But I was talking about that the other day. Any of my partners that I've ever worked with, if I needed anything, anytime, anywhere, one phone call and they would be there. They would drop everything.
Yeah.
You have to have a lot of I always tell everybody when they're working, I said, the most important thing on the ambulance, I always ask them, what is the most important thing? And, they'll go through, well, it's just a truck or the monitor or whatever. I said, no, it's your partner. I said, because if you ain't got your partner's respect, I said, you ain't got nothing.
Yeah. That's great. And you gotta be with them apparently 150 hours a week. So so that's the whole thing. What's the most country hauler you've ever been up? I imagine you get some call to like Jumpin' Jolo, Jimmy Branch, or wherever random place, and you got to figure out exactly where it's at. Has the system been updated over the years in these rural counties, or
It's a lot better than you would think. Actually, GPS will still send you some crazy places. I went to a deserted house following GPS the other day, and the call was almost 20 miles from where we were at.
Oh, nice.
And it was on the main road, but we was up in a holler. But I worked in Monroe County, and you would think up in Monroe County, you think, man, the GPS would, but no, it's pretty well spot on. You're going back into hollers, and I say holler. So
heck yeah, holler.
I'm from here. It's a holler.
That's how it. Yeah.
So yeah, we went. You go so far, and directions. It'll be good because they'll give you directions. They'll say, all right, you go down to this white picket fence. You make a right at the end of white picket fence onto the dirt road. Then the dirt road will turn into a creek. Follow the creek until it branches back off into a graveled road, and then follow that road. And you go to the top of the hill, and you'll see a red picket fence and a green gate. Go through the green gate.
So you get those directions?
Yeah, you get those directions. Yeah.
Okay.
They're still there. They're still there.
Nice. What's the number system? It seems like 10 or 15 years ago, they started putting numbers on all the houses or trying to recategorize things.
My understanding is those work from the post office. Like when you start at the post office and you start your numbers. And for the most part, the even numbers are on the right-hand side of the road and odd are on the left.
Okay.
Now, from the post office. So you have to know where the post office is at to get that right. But
right. Yeah. You got to kind of orient yourself like, okay, post office is, west right now. So, okay.
They can still be really crazy though, especially here in West Virginia. You'll get, you're going on Tom Bailey Branch Road, but then you get there and it's not Tom Bailey Branch Road. It's actually on Three Cross Road because it used to be called Tom Bailey Branch Road, but now it's Three Cross Road. And so you run into a lot of that too.
Oh yeah. My favorite one is when it's like you get to where you think your location is, and it's like, get out and walk 1.4 miles. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
No.
I've gotten a couple of those. 22 Mine Road was one. For some reason, 3 years ago, Google just sent you to some random backyard and said, get out and walk the rest of the way. But yeah. All right. So, what's another call that comes to mind? I imagine you get, in these rural areas, a lot of elderly issues.
There's a lot. I mean, and that actually gets really sad. Especially in an area because a lot of people fall through the cracks because they live so far out. Well, I'm called to mind. We went one time with APS to go take a lady from her home because they was going to have to take her and put her in a nursing home because her standard of living was horrible. And we went there with the police because she informed everybody that when anybody came back, she'd shoot and kill them.
Oh,
so
okay.
So we went with the police, and the officer was going in. He said, "Look, we'll go in and make sure it's safe." And I told him, I said, "Well, I'll go with you because I've gotten pretty good at talking to people." And I said, "Well, when I went in the house, I got in the house and I noticed I was the only one there. The officer didn't go in with me, and
she's in the back putting on makeup like Predator.
There's no power. There's 300 cats. I mean, it's that story,
Oh yeah.
There's cobwebs hanging. There's cat feces and human feces everywhere because there's no water in the house, no power. And I'm looking all over the place for her. And I look over, and there she is on the couch. And no, she's dead. I mean, she's bad dead. I mean, I don't know how graphic you want to be on here, but
we can be as graphic as
maggots
you're comfortable.
had ate into her skull and ate both her eyes out, and so So I come back outside, and I'm known to be just a little bit. EMS is really bad for really bad dark humor. I'm just going to say that right now.
No, I mean, we're wide open here.
Okay, well, we come back out the house, and and APS says, well, where's she at? And I said, well, she ain't going to the hospital. And they said, oh, she has to go to the hospital. I said, well, she ain't going. And they said, no, we'll have to make her go. I said, you ain't gonna make her go. And they said, yes, we will. I said, she's dead. And so they all changed then, but I mean, it was horrible. Oh my goodness. It was, and like I said, she'd been down there for like 4 days. And
yeah. What do you go home and like, hey honey, how was your day? Funny thing.
It takes a special, that's another thing. Ambulance, we joke around and say, and I actually happen to be one of those people. I am a victim of AIDS. Okay. Ambulance-induced divorce syndrome.
Oh, nice.
So it's hard on relationships.
Right. Yeah. Well, since you bring that up, I know a lot of divorced nurses for some reason, but I mean, 60% of the world gets divorced, so
it is the world we live in now.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I imagine that is hard. I mean, you're 24 hours and you're on call and, eating ramen noodles every day. And
then if your partner ends up being a female,
right,
then, I mean, whether anything happens or not, you get accused of it. So
sure. Yeah.
That's there. So
no, that I can see that because, I mean, you do form a bond with your coworkers. I mean,
it is different.
Obviously, that's next level. But even still, I could see someone who typically is a jealous person would not enjoy that.
No, it would be tough.
So yeah, for sure. All right. So, have you ever been involved in a shooting? I mean, of some, like I know one. I don't know if you worked. Doc Whitley was in McDowell. That shooting was there. There's been all kinds of shootings throughout the years, but I know you were in Wyoming County more. But I'm just curious.
Wyoming, Raleigh County. I ran a lot of gunshot wounds in Raleigh County when I worked out here too. But yeah, I mean, there's always, and it's it goes from those self-inflicted gunshot wounds, and then of course those who are fighting with somebody. And then I also run them where they are at the hospital, and then when they're going to transfer them out, because like I said, I do the CCT thing, so we're going to take these critical care patients out. So lots of gunshot victims from, I think my youngest was 3.
Oh,
and that was from down McDowell County, and so, but I mean, and then to the oldest, I was working and a guy walked into the hospital and just shot himself in the parking lot. 72 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Never said nothing to no one. I mean, so I don't, you run those calls. I've seen people shoot themselves, and we've seen a lot of them mess up. I would never shoot myself. If if I wanted to harm myself, I would never do that because I see too many people live through it, and they're just either paralyzed or, living on tubes, and it would be a horrible thing. But
there's weird things bullets do, it seems, to the anatomy. Like some people, I've read so many stories about people getting shot in the head and surviving.
Oh, yeah.
And
when it shot him, he shot himself in the mouth, and he must have flinched, because when he did, it split him right here and right here. So he looked like the Predator.
Goodness.
And it was
gracious.
open like that, and he was laying there, and I had to load him face down, which is totally something you shouldn't do, but I had to because there's so much blood. And all you can see is a little tongue flicking in there. And I was trying to suction him, and he actually ended up suctioning himself while I started an IV on him and got him some pain medication, and then got to the hospital. And I'll never forget, because the doctor was like chewing me a new one because I'd loaded this guy face down instead of on his back. And I'm trying to tell the doctor, I said, listen, you don't understand. I said, there's a reason. He said, listen, if you can't do your job, and just chew me out. And so he goes in there and says, get him over on his back, get him on his backboard. When he turned him over, blood spills up and he starts choking and gagging. He said, roll him over. Yeah. He looks back at me and says, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And you did that so he wouldn't choke.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's another thing about our job. Even though you got this cut and set way of doing things, every single person's different. Every situation is different. Every gunshot is different. So you got to adapt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Adapt to every situation. I imagine, some of these places have car wrecks that get a little tricky to get to. Or have you ever gotten in a situation where there's the car 30 feet over the hillside and we got to figure out how to get down there, or anything in particular there?
I had one on Little Bolt Mountain that he wrecked the car. It looked like he probably had a heart attack, then wrecked, flipped the car. The car landed over in the ditch line, which happened to be very deep and was full of water, and his head was underwater. So he was hanging upside down with his head underwater and still in the car, and we had to cut the car to get him out. So I got in the car, was actually able to tube this guy with his head underwater. So I was giving him oxygen through a tube, even though his head was underwater. I was getting oxygen to his lungs.
Did you save this guy?
Yeah, he made it.
Wow.
Yeah, he made it. It was wild. But yeah, he made it. He had a heart attack. He had a long recovery. I mean, but yeah, he done good. I think he lived another 5 years, if I'm thinking right. I've been really lucky in that aspect too. I've got 8 cardiac arrests back that went home, not just, we call something called ROSC, which is when we get spontaneous respiration from cardiac arrest.
Mm-hmm.
And that just means we've done our job good. And, but that doesn't always mean you get the brain back. So when I say 8, I got one of them is still alive to this day, and we pick her son up on occasion down in McDowell County. So,
wow. So you mean like people have a heart attack and you bring them back?
Yeah. Like, full cardiac arrest. And like I said, good Lord makes that decision. But if I'm there and it's not your time to go, so, but yeah, we've worked, like I said, I've been lucky enough to have 8. I had one when I first got my EMT, the first person I ever saved. Crazy story. I was on vacation at Myrtle Beach. Imagine that, being from Michigan, going to Myrtle Beach.
Hey.
So we was down there on vacation, and I heard a commotion, and the wife says, "Hey, you should go over and see what's going on." I said, they got plenty of people, but I went. And I said, "Hey, do y'all need help?" And they said, "We think this guy's had a heart attack. We called the fire department. They're on the way." And I said, "Well, I'm an EMT." They said, "Yeah, get in here. So I got in there and noticed, I said, "He don't have a pulse." And they said, "Yeah, he does." I said, "No, he don't." So I said, "We got to start CPR." And they said, "Fire department will be right here." So I had to start CPR on him, done CPR on him, got him back. Fire department got there, took him to the hospital, took down my information because, where I'd been there. And then I go home, didn't think nothing else about it. Really honestly thought the guy probably died. But I have a box, the house full of cards and letters and Christmas cards that he would send me, because he went forth when he got home, and because he lived, and he got my address from the fire department, and he wrote me letters. He said, "I got to enjoy this Christmas because of you.
Oh,
I got to see my grandbaby because of you. I got to have this, and he'd show me places that he'd go send me postcards and say, "I got to see the Grand Canyon because of you." And every time he'd just send, I got a box full. I got them for 3 years solid, and then they stopped. So I figure
it's gotta make you feel good.
Oh yeah, it does. No.
Yeah. How cool. All right. Have you ever rolled up on someone you know? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, lots.
And what's that like?
I ran my dad when he passed.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Sorry
but no, it's actually, no, my dad was a strong man of faith. He was one of those wild Pentecostal types. So, but he was ready. But
snake handler?
No, but I wouldn't put it past him. Okay.
I mean, I got respect.
Hey, our friend calls him Jolo.
Yeah.
That's what I always told people. I said I was Baptist when I was eating, Pentecostal when I was shouting, I'm gone when they're snake handling. So, but anyway, no, but he preached everywhere. I wouldn't doubt that he was in a snake handling church.
They're out there, man.
Well, he took us to sing with him.
Uh-huh.
And one church we went to, I asked what these cabinets were on either side. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where they kept them. So
West Virginia is the only state where it's still legal. I want to interview, if someone's listening that handle snakes, reach out, because I'm so interested in the practice. But but yeah, so Pentecostal growing up, what was life like? A little strict? Or?
Oh yeah, no. Well, I grew up extra strict. I don't even know how to put it. I think pretty much a lot of Pentecostal faith is borderline cult anyway, but not all cults are a bad thing. But yeah, no, it was tough. I grew up in the church where the women wore dresses, and you didn't let your hair grow long and that
Sure.
kind of thing. And so, yeah, we was pretty strict, but my mom and dad were awesome. I mean, me and my sister both in church to this day, so they must have done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I find it so interesting, and religion's so personal for people. I'm not going to pretend to act like I know what that faith is like, but I've so many good people from all across the spectrum of religions, and Pentecostal's one of them. I've met several great people, so I'm very interested in it.
Oh, it's great. On my side of things, that's the bad side of EMS. Is we're the people that should know better than anybody that substance abuse and like alcohol and drugs and all these things, we know how bad they are because we've seen the other side of it. And you think that we would know better than anybody not to do that stuff, but the stress. I'm old school, and they tell me all the time, if you broke down over a call or you had a problem with it, you was weak. We're trying to get people out of that because we've had so many commit suicide. And
don't cry if you're a boy, kind of stuff.
No, honestly, and that's it. And so, and I'm still old school, so it's really hard for me because, but where I have my faith, that's what helps me get through the things, where other people would turn to this or that. I just turn to my faith. So,
which I'd love to get into if you want.
Oh yeah, we can do all the above. I was working with a good friend of mine who is good partner, and he actually runs an ambulance service in the state now. But anyway, we was bringing a patient to the hospital. This little old lady, and I'd done everything I could for her. And I told her, I said, honey, I don't know nothing else to do. I said, would it be okay if I pray with you? I asked her, and she said, oh, honey, would you? So I started praying for her, and my partner had never been in church. And, so I'm praying with her, and then she starts speaking in tongues.
Wow.
And so he thinks something bad's happened to her. So he's like flooring the ambulance and got the sirens going and swerving all over the place and everything because he thinks she's dying or something.
Yeah.
But she gets to the hospital and she tells them they ran a 12 lead on her and there's nothing on there again. I showed them mine. There it is. They looked at theirs. It wasn't there. They said, listen, we'll have to keep you. But she said, listen, I have got to go back to church this evening to testify, but I'll be back when church is over. So
that's great. Yeah, man. Well, and as a kid, so I was old regular Baptist, and there was one guy there that would speak in tongues.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I heard it, I was like, what is going on? It's a little shocking when you don't know what's going on, but then later you find out that they're in the spirit, and everyone has their different beliefs on speaking in tongues. Like I always heard I don't believe it unless there's an interpreter and different things like that. But yeah, that's what a story.
Yeah.
Is she still alive or?
Oh no,
She's old lady.
Yeah. I think she was 90 something. We picked her up,
okay.
Which is, if you get on that kind of thing, I had another partner who was a real good medic I learned from. One time we picked up this little, she was a Pentecostal pastor, her and her husband. And, he told me one night, he said, this little lady that we pick up, that pastor, I said, yeah. He said, she told me that God has a special place for firefighters, EMS, and police officers. He said, do you believe that? I said, yeah, I believe that. And he said, you really believe that? I said, yeah, it's called hell. I said, if you're not saved, you can't be born again.
Right.
But he laughed because, he was struggling at that time with his faith. And, but,
sure.
Like I said, EMS, we're rough on each other. So,
no, that's, yeah. No, I mean, you got to have that kind of humor, really, to kind of get through things because you're around a lot. I mean, every day you're dealing with someone who most likely is having the worst day of their life,
6-day-old that mother rolled over on because she's on drugs. And I go to intubate the baby and I look in the mouth and I see everything that is in the stomach is in the throat. And otherwise you can't tell anything's wrong with this baby. And we got to the door and they just pitched the baby to us, said the baby, they didn't know what happened. The baby was fine 5 minutes before they called, which obviously was a lie. But yeah.
So she was high and slept on her. Oh my goodness. Rolled over on her kid.
Said she got up to get a bottle because it was crying. It wasn't crying. Maybe at some other time. So yeah, we deal with that. And then I've seen kids of like mother and father from 2 different marriages, different kids from different from different parents, but in a relationship together. And I've seen where one child was allowed to beat up on the other child because they was wanting to toughen this one up. And so the other one was being abused by the other kid.
Goodness gracious.
So, like I said, you just can't believe what people will do.
So you're a mandatory reporter, right?
Yep.
Okay. So explain what that is for someone who may not know. Like if you come up on like something like that.
Well, it's even like with the elderly, and we deal with that a lot too. Like I said, you have these people and they want to stay home, but the living conditions have gotten to the place where it's not good for them. Like the lady I talked about earlier, she had cobwebs in her house. She didn't have running water. She didn't have power. So how was she eating, And so it wasn't a good life. It was horrible living conditions. So yeah, by law, I have to let that, or if you expect child abuse or spousal abuse or any of those things, if we see that, we're required to report that. Mm-hmm. And it's always a tough call. It's always a tough thing because you want to give people the benefit of a doubt when you see something, but at the same time, you don't want to look the other way and then come back and you pick them up. Now they're dead. So yeah, we have to report it. We report it through APS, which is Adult Protective Services, or CPS for the children, or even to the DHHR.
Is it like a phone call, or do you paperwork? Or?
It's a phone call to start. Then it can be paperwork. Then you can actually go to court. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know because in a state where we're in a literal foster care crisis, we're in I know McDowell County, over 50% of the kids are raised by their grandparents, and there's all kinds of issues going on. So and as you mentioned, more and more issues that increase, the less and less ambulances that are available.
Yeah, we're losing them.
How many are there? Like that serve Raleigh in Wyoming, how many would you say there are? Well, just a guess.
If I was guessing, I'd say total number, we might have 100, maybe, but that's not all the time. It's just like us. In Wyoming County, you got 5 that are 24-hour trucks. And so you got 5 trucks that are in the whole county. But like I said, you take one call, or these ambulance services, they have to do the dialysis and the doctor's appointments to pay the bills, because when you run an emergency call, maybe you get paid, maybe you don't. Maybe they have insurance, maybe they don't. You don't know. And so when you run the emergency call, and you do, so you run these other calls so that you can afford to do the cardiac arrest or the heart attack or the stroke. So it offsets. And so it's hard to keep those ambulances in service. And that's why we've seen so many services close their doors. And that's why that we ended up in Monroe County, and even with the priority ambulance service, is because they was having to close doors because no money. Because like I said, you can't make it on just emergency calls. You can't. You would love to, but you can't. And then, you got this truck doing this, and then this heart attack comes in, and where's your truck? It's at this dialysis center or whatever. So this person has to wait. And I understand in a perfect world, we'd have somebody right there, sitting next door. It could be there, but it just don't work that way.
Do you have an influx of calls at certain time periods of the year, or is there like a measurable amount of calls that come in at certain times?
Sure.
Like when it gets hot, I imagine domestics go up. That's just a guess.
No, that's a good guess. Also, when it gets really cold and it snows a lot, you run into a lot of that. A lot of domestics, and a
lot of pregnancies.
Yeah,
but
not as many as there used to be.
Right. I know. Yeah, there's a bunch of COVID babies running around. Everyone had the pandemic, and then started having kids.
I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
I got 4 boys and a girl. So.
Right. There you go.
So, but yeah, you're right. Those things happen. And towards the fall and the winter months, you have more elderly deaths because they're shut in. And so if the heat don't get them in the summer, then, we have that really big elderly population now all around, so.
Oh yeah, extremely high. So that's what I'm curious. Tell me about these medic alert. Like if someone has these things on when they fall and they pull the things off, do these things even work? I'm just curious.
Okay. Yes, they do work.
Okay.
And so does your Apple Watch. Unfortunately, see, I say that like that because I'll run 100 of those calls, and one of them will be actually the person meant to set it off for an emergency. So yes, they absolutely work. And I'd encourage anybody, if you can't be there with an elderly patient, especially, get them one, because they'll call us. We'll go. And I'd rather go and be canceled than I would they need me and I ain't going at all. But them Apple Watches, I know they talk a lot about them, but I'm telling you what, I've run more people who have dropped their watch and I've got an MVA going on, and we get there and there's nobody even around, and you come to find out this guy said, well, I just set my watch off. He said, I just set it on the thing there. I didn't fall.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're good. It all works. Yeah. And it actually works really good. So yeah.
So I've heard of phones doing the same thing in these rural areas of like, you can tell when someone crashes.
iPhones, that's what I say in vehicle crashes. We get a lot of those. If somebody cuts a curve and the phone slides across the dashboard or something like that, where somebody has it, that's a vehicle crash. And so we get alerted and we're going to try to find them. And
shout out to my buddy Seth Stone in Shabby Run by Roderfield.
Yeah.
But he told me about that they got a call and it come to find out the phone flew out the window and they found the phone on the road. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Where does that call come from? Is it Siri? Does she call in? It's like, call.
I don't know how it works. I really don't. I don't understand. All I know is that alert goes to the 911 system. I guess maybe this closest to it.
Okay. Nice. Well, that's good to know. So faith. So faith has been intertwined with your life, since you was young. You mentioned growing up. Eventually you decided to become a pastor yourself. How did that come about?
Well, actually, I always tell everybody I had a bad drug problem growing up. I was drugged to Sunday school, drugged to camp meet, and drugged. So that was the drug problem I had. But yeah, I literally was born on Wednesday and in church on Sunday. So that's the way it was. So, but so I was always in church, and I went to church. And then my dad, he started his own church. He was actually out here in Raleigh County on Glenview Road for a while, and so we went with him. And then, like I said, I had the I called it fortune, but most people would probably see it as a bad thing. I actually picked up my dad when he passed, and actually run that call and took him to the hospital. And so he was the pastor of the church. I played the organ and would sing. And so I'd never even thought about pastoring the church, And so when he passed, I'll never forget, I went out here to the hospital and I told one of them, because, we all know each other and the ER people knew real well. And the nurse come over and was trying to console me. Said, listen, John, we'll do everything we can. And I said, well, you do what you have to. If you could get him back, I don't want him back. Well, it's like 3 years later, I ran into that nurse and he asked me, he said, why did you say what you did he said, can I ask you that? And I said, sure. He said, why did you say you didn't want him back? Did he beat you or something when you was? I said, no, I just meant my dad was ready to go. And if you could bring him back, I wouldn't want him back here. I said, because I know he lived his whole life for the Lord and he's in his pride. Yeah. So he thought, I said, oh man, I didn't realize. I said, it's been 3 years. You thought my daddy beat me. I said, my daddy was awesome.
There's so many backdoor conversations of like, man, Jonathan's like, something's going on, dude.
No doubt. But when he passed, that we had a pretty good sized congregation at that time, and they more or less, my mom went to the preachers and went to the people, and they asked me, and I remember thinking, I don't want to pastor a church. No, I don't want to do that. It's not on my list of things to do. But I took it, and I've never looked back. And that's been a tough road. That's been a really hard road. I'd say that's probably the roughest road. I deal with patience on one side, so I deal with life and death here, but I also deal with the life and death of the soul. So it goes together, I guess. It's just a natural kind of thing that goes together.
It's a lot of pressure.
But it is. Sometimes it gets really tough.
Yeah. What was the feeling like? Did you always just know that, what you believed in, or was there a time that sticks out to you where it just clicked inside and you felt like, oh, okay, there's no doubt?
You You ask really good questions.
Hey, thank
no.
you,
I mean,
man.
it's like you tapping my phone. But no.
I'll have to frame that quote and put it on the wall. Thank you.
So religion is a crazy thing anyway. But I've had my faith as long as I can, even remember. I can't think of anything else. I always had like a super overactive conscience where most people, if they've done something, if I just thought about doing it, I feel worse than they did for doing it. And so it got me in a big mess. And then, but I was in the faith, and, we were kind of Pentecostal, but undenominational. And so that kind of set us apart anyway. And then come along further, and I had my faith, and I thought I knew what I believed, but then I got to reading for myself, which I'd encourage anybody to do. When I started reading for myself, a lot of the things that I'd been taught and a lot of things that everybody says I couldn't find in the Bible. And then when I found the truth, then that put me at odds with everybody else. So that's like I said, that's the toughest road right there. In EMS, just about everybody knows me around, and I worked hard to get that, but I worked a lot to get it too. But in the faith thing, I think my faith has set me apart from a lot of people. But like I said, it's come through searching the word. So yes, I had faith, but then I found what that meant. And actually, to me, it made it more relatable and more accessible to more people rather than pushing people away. Because I feel like my faith before, we kind of pushed people away.
Mm-hmm. So you think your position, like, I just assume, I'm like, well, maybe there would be times that would make me question the opposite of things happening, like you mentioned with the baby and different things, but it actually sounds like it drew you closer.
No, absolutely.
To God.
Absolutely. If it wasn't for that, but no, I would lie if I say I didn't sit here, and sometimes you wonder, God, why? Why is this baby? And then you're letting mommy live, and, or I pick up this person who I am able to get back. Why couldn't I get my daddy back? Well, that's actually not a great example, because I said I didn't want to get my dad back. I worked my dad because I had to.
Sure. Yeah.
I said I wouldn't bring him back, but I mean, but that's the thing though. You wonder sometimes. So yeah, I ask those questions. I think everybody ought to ask those questions. People tell me you're not supposed to question God. I said, well, then you really ain't read the Bible. And they said, well, look at Job. I said, if you don't know that Job questioned God through the whole book, I said, you ain't read it. I said, because it's okay to question God. Mm-hmm. You just got to have faith in him. I said, don't question him, but you can't ask him.
And Job is the book where he's constantly challenged, like with death and different things happening.
Lost his family and everything he had, and even boils upon himself. And
mm-hmm. Yeah. So in what way, did it draw you closer? Is there something certain you would see? Maybe it was the way someone passed, or maybe the way that they would talk at the end of their life.
That is really, like I said, great question.
Thank you.
Awesome. You're good at what you do.
I appreciate it, brother.
But
you are too.
But the thing of it is you're, when you see people and you see people close to death, there is a change that happens, and you can tell the difference between somebody who has faith and somebody who doesn't. And by that, what I mean is, it's the way that the whole mannerism, it's honestly, it's always seemed more peaceful to me and not so scared. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like people who haven't got that strong faith, when it gets down to those dire moments of, they're having a big heart attack or they're having a stroke, those people are more fearful than the ones that have faith. And that's just in my experience, But
well, it's when you think about it, it's like, well, when you have faith, you believe you're going to the light. When you don't, you believe it's game over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Whatever.
Or if you're unsure, you're probably nervous.
Yeah,
you're like,
right,
what if I'm wrong? So I understand that totally.
That's true, but you can tell a difference in people.
Yeah, that's and that's beautiful. You ask people for permission because you never know what someone believes.
Yeah, I just don't pray for people, or if they look at me and they say something, then I will. But and if somebody asks me for prayer, I never tell them I'm going to pray for them. I pray with them right then. It don't matter where I'm at, in the ER, in the back of the truck, wherever. I think that's important too. Mm-hmm. I think they need to hear you pray if you're actually going to pray for them. But and like I said, this job has definitely brought me peace and strength in my faith. Absolutely. I couldn't do what I do without it.
I love it. There's something to prayer chains too, like regardless of how you believe.
Yeah.
Like me, I'm still searching. I've always been searching my entire life. And I still know that there's an energy with prayer and people getting together on this, the same mission of, giving this energy to this person. And I really think there's something there regardless of how you believe. I think it's beautiful. So, how long you been a pastor now?
It's been since 2008.
So your dad passed away around then?
2008, yeah.
Okay. What church is it?
It's Rema Ministries in Ravencliff. We're undenominational, so.
Oh, cool. Okay. How many's in your congregation?
I got a bigger following online.
Oh, nice.
Then actually, we're probably only about 20, 30.
That's pretty
small congregation.
Do you have dinners?
Buddy, you can't. I just said I was Baptist when I was 8.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. That's the biggest thing I remember from old regular Baptists. The dinners were insane.
Oh yes.
My goodness.
My wife is she was Baptist.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got the dinners there. So
yeah. I mean, I just didn't know you could cook green beans that way. It's just insane. All right. So let's get into a little volunteer fire department. So let's start out by talking about the certifications of what it takes to be involved and how someone can get involved in their local volunteer fire department.
That's good. And I'll plug Forever Fire Department. They need people. I think I'm lucky. My fire department actually has probably the biggest active members of anywhere around. So yeah, I challenge anybody, if you want to help your community, do it. It's also good for you. Makes good connections. You can go to the fire department, put in an application. You ain't going to have any certification whatsoever when you go there. Just want to help people. That's a great place to start. And they will get you the training. They'll vote you into the fire department. Then I think most of them like to have you go through a fireman class within a year. But they pay for it. So, it ain't something you have to pay for, but it's about a 6-month class as well. And it's fun. I done a 2-week class. When I done mine, I done it with U.S. Steel.
Oh, nice.
That's how I got my fire training. Then I joined the fire department. So I was actually a firefighter when I joined. But yeah, so it's fun. It's fun. Being on the fire department's awesome. You get to help your community. Absolutely. But you make great connections. It's just like, if I need something, even if I'm like doing work, like at my house, and if the fire department comes by, hey, what are you doing? They'll come. You got firefighters helping you do stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good community. It's a great family. And you get to help like I said, you get to help your community. You learn great skills. They'll teach you the first aid. They'll get you first responder. If that's what you want to do. If you just want to do fire, you can do firefight, and they'll teach you how to extricate.
Extricate.
Yeah, using the jaws or the spreaders, the different tools we do to cut open a car, and learn how to access and get into people. And like I said, the fire department does so much. I mean, it really does.
I don't know what these communities would do without them. I know Beckley has a paid fire department, but that's really the only one I know of in Southern West Virginia. I don't know where. I think they have. I'm sure Charleston has one, Huntington, different places like that. But if it wasn't for volunteer fire departments, I mean, I don't know what people would do.
They're great, and they've helped out a lot with the ambulance situation too. Because I love my fire departments, and so go fighting 500. That's mine.
There we go.
And I'll throw some love out there to Brenton as well, because I work a lot with them. But fire department is so intricate, because I can be coming from Raleigh General, and get a call down Baileysville, which is a good hour and a half, no matter how you're doing it. And so I've got a chest pain call there, and I just left Raleigh General, but there's no other ambulances anywhere to go. So they're sending me. So the fire department will go out there, and they'll take care of that patient until I get there. Mm-hmm. And so, I love it. Fire department's awesome.
Yeah. So when you get a call, does the members, do they get kind of a certification to to speed through red lights too?
Okay.
Or because I'll see in some of these smaller communities, they'll fire up, pop a fuse in, hammer down, son. I was just curious how that works.
No, actually the actual law on it, because like when I talked about the ambulance and stuff, that's insurance companies that has throttled us back. But the actual, I think the law actually reads with due regard for safety.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now that puts you in a big caveat there, because pretty much if you was in an accident, you're at fault because you're running a light.
Oh yeah. So be careful out there, Zen poppers. But when do you get the cool walkie-talkie that goes off or whatever? I know I have do you know Eli Hendrick?
Yeah.
Okay. He's a real good friend.
Okay.
And we'll be out at like a random birthday party, and all of a sudden you turn around and Eli's like sprinting down the street. And I'm just curious how that system works. What actually goes off when that occurs?
Well, when you when they call 911, then that dispatcher will take where the location's at, and they'll tell them the appropriate fire department. So they got a button they just push, and then they make the announcement of what the call is, and it comes across the pager. And then if you can respond, you do. So like everybody on the fire department gets a pager, and so it's more or less because it's volunteer. You don't have to go.
Do you have like an app where everyone assigns like I'm coming, or does everyone just take off and try to end up at the same point?
You got the pager does. You can do that, but we actually got an app, and the app is called Active Alert, and see, I got the Wyoming County Firefighters, and so if I get paged out from the fire department, it'll go off on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
It'll give me GPS directions. And I get Google Maps to go to the house.
Oh, you can hit direct. You can just go.
You hit external map, and it'll give you the map, and it'll show you right where you need to go.
Wow!
And it'll tell you a brief synopsis of what's wrong with the patient, and maybe if the 911 center got good information, then they'll give you like a house description and what's going on, maybe even a brief history about the patient.
We're fancy, Jonathan.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, moving on up.
Good.
Big city stuff.
Just make sure you get all your situation before you leave your driveway, though, because you ain't got no Wi-Fi where I'm at.
Oh, yeah. You got to make sure it's in there.
Yeah. Once you got it, you got it.
Yeah. That's cool. How many members are in your fire department?
I think we got 36 active members.
Is there a hierarchy?
Yeah. We have officers, and then you got the old timers like me. And you can just tell that by numbers, because the trucks are like your first 10 numbers. And then after that, you got officers. And then, but different ones do it different ways. So
old timers, were you like the door greeter of the fire department?
No, I'm kind of the guy they go to and they say, okay, how did y'all do this?
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So, yeah, but I still respond. So, and they know that, but they also know I'm not going in a burning house. Not if there's young guys there. Now, if they're not there, I'll go. Because I ain't least bit scared of that, but but if the young guys are there, I'll let the young guys go.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Yeah, that's good.
Let them have their fun.
So tell me about some calls over the years, because you've been on the fire department a long time too.
Yeah, I mean, you got so many. I mean, and so many heartbreaks on that too. I mean, because there's been fire upon fire. Usually it's something. It's just dumb. I mean, really, but. Yeah, you go and you fight a fire, and they say it never fails. It never fails. I don't care where you're at and what you're doing. Somebody's always going to be there to tell you, hey, we just saw the kids in the back bedroom, and everybody's out of the house, or the house has been deserted for years, but they just saw the kids because for some reason they want you to go in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's bad. We're in there, we run one down there in Welch, and they said, the kids are on the second floor. And that guy said, they ain't been a second floor in that for 30 years. He said, ain't nobody on a second floor. But people always be there to tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I guess better safe than sorry, but at the same time, get people hurt.
Yeah.
Doing that.
That's true. Don't go back for stuff, no matter what, no matter how, because that's the heartbreak one. 68-year-old female, and we put out the fire, and we find her. She's at the door. She had made it to the door, but she was laying on a box of photos. She went back for photos.
She went and got her photos,
and then didn't make it out.
Smoke inhalation, is that kind of what happens?
Yeah, absolutely. Smoke will get you first.
Okay.
Smoke will get you first.
And that's typically what happens is like what happens there? Do you just pass out or?
Yeah. I mean, it eventually get to where you've got too much CO2 and you'll lose consciousness for most people.
Well, I guess there's no silver lining there. I mean, they still die, but at the same time, it would be horrendous to feel flames.
Oh yeah. No, I wouldn't want to burn.
Yeah. That'd be awful. You ever pulled like a dog out of a house and like,
oh yeah, we
got Spike.
Oh no, that was the last one. They was wanting the fire department to go in there for the dog, but the dog, I mean, the house is almost on the ground, and at that point, it would not be safe sending somebody in, for a person at that point. But yeah, no, we got that dog out of there, but it looked like a roast pig is what it looked like. Bless its heart. Yeah, it's a little one of those English bulldogs.
Yeah. Goodness.
Yeah.
It's like $3,000 roasted pig.
Yeah. Hopefully they had insurance.
Man, I love dogs. I swear I could think about my cats burning up and I would start crying right now.
I probably would too.
I love them so much. All right. So tell me, have you ever just got bored and set a house on fire and it's like, all right, here's a training exercise, or is that frowned upon?
Okay. No, we don't do that.
Okay.
But that's not to say that we ain't had to have things that were burned.
Right.
And the community would come and say, hey, look, I want to burn this house. And, so we go, you have to have a permit to do it anyway. So we would go, and if they were willing, and we might run an exercise on that house while it burns.
Okay.
And plus we can watch it to make sure it don't catch nothing else on fire. So we have done that. Yeah. We have actually started fires, but for constructive reasons, but not just, but now it's bad you say that, because we actually had some fire department members, not our fire department, thank goodness. But
there's a story that comes to mind.
Yeah. They were starting fires because they wanted to get the calls up. So they were burning abandoned houses so that the fire department would get toned. So that gets their call volume up, so they get more funding from the state. But you can't do arson.
When you think about it, that's like 4D chess. Yeah. Like, that's pretty impressive. Don't do it. That's against the law. It's terrible. Don't ever do that. I don't condone it.
It messed them up pretty good too.
Yeah. Bad decision. How many fires have you been to over the years?
Oh,
countless.
I wouldn't even.
What's the typical fire? Is it electrical or?
Yeah, I mean, usually
meth.
There's a lot of those.
Sometimes
there've been a lot of those. Yeah, I was cooking. Last one I went on was fixing kraut and wieners. Yeah, because kraut and wieners, that's their stuff, right?
Is that code for something?
No, you don't know kraut and wieners.
Okay, so it's actually
no, that's what she said.
Okay,
she said it was kraut and wieners. However, no, it was meth. So,
but, probably meth stinks, right? I'm not sure what the smell is. But.
There is a smell, but no, you could see it. I mean, you could see she had everything to make it, and so that's what I always tell the restaurant. I'm gonna go home and do some kraut and wieners. But no.
I love kraut, the actual kraut and wieners.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's their stuff. That's what I'm saying.
That's good stuff.
It is.
All right. Have you been on like a roof when the house was on fire?
I have. I actually have never been on the roof but we have ways to do that. I've trained on it, but I've not done it. I've always, up until recently, I've always been the one that was in the house. So, but you have to cut to ventilate,
Sure.
So there's ways to do it all. Like I said, you learn it in your fire class. It's really cool.
Hey, we're going to get you some sign-ups.
Yeah. I
mean, you all sound good, but, I want to get my dude Eli there.
I'm going to tell you straight, every fire department needs more people.
Okay.
They love it, because trust me, I mean, we got dive teams. We got a dive team.
What's that?
We scuba dive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we actually got, my fire chief actually has a scuba shop here in Beckley, and helps train a lot of the fire departments here in the county. So if you like scuba, you could join the fire department to learn how to dive.
Oh yeah. Tell him to message me. I'd love to hear about some dives, man.
Oh, he can tell you some stuff.
So they go out, I imagine they get calls to go look for missing people. And
we've done that. We went to R.D. Bailey. We got a body out of there.
A lot of PBR cans in R.D. Bailey.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about R.D. Bailey is that when you go down to about 11 foot, the lights go out. You can't see anything. Even with a flashlight, you can't see anything.
Really?
Yeah, we just happened to crawl across the body. It's the only way we got it.
Wow. What's down there?
Mud mostly.
Oh, just mud. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
mostly.
muddy.
Mostly. But no, when you drop down past 11 foot, the lights just got, I guess, because of the sediment. R.D. Bailey, Stevens Lake is a much better dive, and you got jellyfish.
There's jellyfish there?
You didn't know there's jellyfish?
Dude,
You of all people should know there's a jellyfish.
I know that they exist, but I thought it was
There's freshwater jellyfish. Lake Stevens is one of the few lakes that actually have them.
That's terrifying. I'll never go in there again.
No, because they're microscopic. They can't pierce your skin.
Oh, okay.
But you can see them with the naked eye if you know what you're looking for. But if you don't know what you're looking for, you probably never see them.
Dude, I never realized.
But they're there. Yeah, seriously. Check it out, man. Google it.
That's awesome.
They're there.
The only thing I know about jellyfish is I thought they were a dirty myrtle, and then you pee on your feet if you get stung.
Oh yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, I don't know if that works, but
I don't know either. I've never had to pee on anybody's.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Jellyfish sting.
Yeah, just in the shower, athlete's feet, no judgments. So you've been called to help and assist on like crimes, like
oh yeah, we've recovered guns and stuff from a high speed chase that happened here in Raleigh County. We was over in Devil's Fork up in there. There's a big culvert in there. We dove in and recovered the guns and some other stuff that was stolen.
So you got your dive certification?
Oh yeah, I'm a master diver.
Really? What does that mean?
Well, you would ask, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got different levels. You got like open water, which is your basic level. Then you got advanced, and then you got rescue diver, where you actually learn how to rescue and stuff. And then master diver is just somebody that has a certain amount of skills and specialty dives that they can do, like cave diving and wreck diving and recovery and that kind of thing. And so they've mastered all those. So they're just to the point where now you could go back and you could learn to be a dive master, which is, dive master. And then you teach people to dive.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Man, that's impressive stuff.
Awesome. If you don't dive, you should dive. So join the fire department.
Yeah, man. You'll have to. What's the master parachuter? Can you parachute? I just feel like
I can't parachute.
Yeah, the
no
volunteer fire department ain't like
I ain't jumping out of a perfectly good plane.
That makes sense. Well, especially being an EMS, you're like, I ain't doing that. I know where this goes.
I pick them up at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So. Well, I think we've said it all.
Well,
Jonathan.
I got you one.
Yeah, okay. Hit me.
Let me tell you this one, because I couldn't leave without this. This is probably one of my, I was working in Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working for Stafford EMS at the time, which is closed down because of funding and everything. But anyway, it was normal for me to come into work, and I would come in a little early so that the guy who was getting off, if he had a call, because he was very busy down there, it wasn't unusual for him to say, "Hey, is John there?" And if I'd go out to the road and I'd get on the truck and take the patient on into the hospital, and he'd go home. And so on this morning, I come in and I said, "Hey, is he out on anything?" He said, "Yeah, he's already been hollering for you." Said, he was up there on a lady giving birth. I said, "Okay." And he said, "He's hollering for you." I said, "Well, he probably wants me to switch out." So I just walked out to the road. Well, I saw the ambulance come with lights on, which was kind of weird because he never ran lights. And I go to step in the back of the truck, and he hands me a baby. And he says, "John, mommy stopped breathing and baby's not breathing either." And he hands me the baby. And I'm standing beside the road, and he closes the door, and they go on towards Logan Regional. And so I took this baby, and, I guess what anybody would do, but I just started doing CPR on this baby, just mouth the face, and running back to the fire department because I've got a baby and nowhere to get. So I got back there, and they see me coming. They got me on a truck, took this baby. I ended up having to start an IV in its umbilical cord. And then I intubated this baby. So I put a tube in and was breathing for it. I got the baby back, got a heartbeat back and everything, probably about 20 minutes out from the hospital. Got to the hospital, and of course I was a mess, because there's this baby. So once I hand the baby off, and they're like, good job, because the baby's, on a vent, but it could breathe on its own. So they fly baby and mommy to Huntington. I never heard nothing else about that. Never another thing. Didn't know if mommy lived, didn't know if baby lived. The other guy who ran that, he actually died of cancer. And it's like 10 years later, I'm down at Walmart in Logan. And, because I only worked at Stafford for like 6 months. But anyway, I was walking around Walmart with wife, and all of a sudden this kid runs up and grabs me around the waist and just hugging me. And, of course, the wife looks at me and said, "You need to tell me something?"
Yep.
I said, "I don't know who this kid is,
Yeah.
I do know I got family down here, but we're not real close." So this lady comes up on this cane and she says, "You are Jonathan Cresong, ain't you?" I said, "Well, yes, ma'am." And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't know who you are." She said, "Well, you wouldn't know me." She said, "Do you remember Jim McNeely?" I said, "I sure do." And I said, "I know he passed a few years back." She said, "Yeah." She said, "Do you remember him running a lady who was eclamptic and had a seizure and had a baby, and the baby was dead and she crashed?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I'm that lady, and that's the baby you saved."
Wow.
And so it's like, I was like, and so I asked her, "Hey, so what's his name?" She said, "Jonathan."
Oh,
Yeah, she
no
said,
way.
She said, "I found your family at Stafford's branch." She said, and she said, "I had them give me a picture," and she showed me a picture that they gave her. And she said, "I always said if I ever seen you, I'd let you know what you did and thank you."
Man.
And so that's like,
that's a beautiful story, man.
Great. So
that's incredible.
yeah. So there's a few of those. They're far and few between.
Yeah.
But I love helping people.
But what a way to bring your passion back into what you do.
Right.
That's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
That's great. Well, I love it, Jonathan. I appreciate you being here. Go ahead and plug your church, plug the fire department, anything you want, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Well, if I would, like I said, I'm a CCT paramedic for Stat EMS, and they're in a lot of places. But I work for Star Academy, which is in Soak Creek down at Sophia. If you are not an EMT or would like first aid training or know more about that, look them up online at Star Academy online. And we got all the training going on down there, more than what you know. CCT, ultrasound, so many things going on there. And he's adding stuff all the time. So if you need training, see us there.
Good money, make a good living.
Yeah, you could make a very good living doing it. I'm doing good.
Shoot, yeah, man.
I've never been without a job.
Heck yeah.
And of course, I go with Rema Ministries, started by my dad long time ago, but it's in Ravencliff, West Virginia. And we're online too on Facebook, and you can check that out. As always, I just encourage people to just help other people and dig deeper for yourself. I love what I do. I love my family. I love God. I love helping people. I don't think I could do it this long. My knees are shot. My hips messed up. My shoulder I've dislocated more times than you know, but I do it all because I love helping people.
Awesome. Well, and I love that you're here. It's just such an honor to hear your story.
And thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you. I want to have regular EMS workers on like every couple months. I want someone to come in. So if you're out there and you're listening, if you're that master teacher, diver guy that Jonathan mentioned, shoot me a message, be on the show. But everyone else, before you leave, be sure to like this video, subscribe to Creepalachia on YouTube if you haven't. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, take a minute and leave a review. That'll really help the show be found. And we are on Facebook and TikTok, and we do have merch now on creepalachia.shop. So that helps the show keep running as well, to hear these awesome stories. And last but not least, above all else, always remember, long live Appalachia.